Well, it says we're live. Who knows if we're actually? I'm live. I'm not joined by anybody today, so it says I'm live. We're streaming across LinkedIn, a few different profiles on Facebook. LinkedIn only allows us to stream on one profile at a time, but using Streamyard.com, we're streaming on LinkedIn, a few different profiles on Facebook and YouTube as well. And of course, today we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of using custom content that resonates, content that makes you relatable, as opposed to the canned content that the industry thrives on. So we've got some resources on the Social Advisors website that I think you'll find useful if you do decide to create content for yourself. So I'll show you those. Gosh, I haven't done a Tuesday at 2 in a while. We had Matt Halloran on talking about creating influence within your network and within the industry you serve. That was a few weeks ago, Tuesday at 2. But sometimes some family health issues get in the way. So I've actually been in Wisconsin, away from my family and home in Florida for about 5 weeks. So get back into the swing of Tuesdays at 2. Okay, so today we're talking about content, and content marketing is really important, right? The industry, as you guys know, our industry is not quick to adapt to new technologies. So email marketing, and I've been doing involved in websites for quite a while, right? Website content, obviously, even early back in the day and today, all that stuff needs to be compliance approved before it can go live. Email marketing, same way. I think most of the compliance departments are, if you're going to send an email to more than 9 people, that email needs to be compliance approved first. Social media created a big issue for our industry. As social media was evolving into this monster and behemoth that it is, some of it good, some of it not so good, I worked with FMG for a little while. And so their approach at FMG and other firms, the industry largely embraced greatly. I oversaw our LPL relationship for a while there at FMG. I don't mean to refer to that company so much, because FMG is doing some great things, but they pioneered canned content, if you will, in our industry. Broadridge with Forefield pioneered canned content in our industry. You got Hearsay Social and a whole bunch of others, libraries of firm-approved canned content. Now, that was the industry's response to content marketing on social media, right? If we make content available for our advisors to use, it makes easy, right? It gives them an opportunity to have a brand presence on social media. It makes our life a little bit easier, because when you use Forefield, Broadridge, I don't even know if they fly the Forefield flag anymore. When you use Broadridge or FMG or Hearsay Social, all that stuff is pre-approved, right? Most of those folks have a FINRA non-object letter. FINRA non-object, what's that? Well, FINRA will never approve something. They will just say, we don't have an objection. I think that keeps them clean, right? So that's kind of legal speech for, you can use it, we take no responsibility for it. So by having that FINRA non-object letter, all that pre-approved content is really easy on the regulators, whether that's industry regulators, whether that's firm regulators, compliance departments. The other thing is, you guys, and hopefully, like, a lot of firms are better at this, but there's still a lot of understaffed compliance departments out there, right? We call it compliance, but really it's risk mitigation, right? So you are governed as strictly as the riskiest advisor at your firm, right? A lot of those departments are still understaffed for the amount of volume that advisors want to push through the compliance department, right? And pre-approved canned content was a lot of marketing companies and a lot of firms' response to content marketing when you have 1,000 or 3,000 or 10,000 advisors for whom you have to review their marketing. Now, here's the problem. If you're at a firm of 20,000 people, right? Even a firm of 1,000 people, right? And you've got a hearsay catalog or a proof point catalog or some of this pre-approved content available. A couple things. You know that you might have 3,000 or 4,000 advisors sharing the exact same content, and in some cases at the exact same time. If you're running a canned newsletter, same thing. You've got, you know, potentially thousands of advisors sending out the exact same newsletter where maybe the logo and the headshot changes, but the newsletter itself is pretty much the exact same content. It's rough, right? Gosh, I hope none of your prospects or clients are getting newsletters from other advisors that are sending the same exact content. We're going to look at some content here in a second. I'm only going to be on maybe 10 or 15 minutes here. We're going to look at some content in a second, and you're going to clearly see when you run personalized content, the impact that has for your brand reach. I don't mean personalize it by putting a different logo on it. It's still the same canned content with a different logo on it, right? But personalizing it so it's about you. So it's for your audience. So you're speaking to an audience and you're creating relatable, relatable things that people are going to celebrate with you or identify with. That helps you create relationship. So I would even make the argument now, right? So we'll look at content in a second here, but I would make the argument now that if you're sharing canned content, you're getting 1 like or 2 likes, you live in an influencer world, right? You may not be the advisor in your area that everybody's following, but there is 1 or 2 or 3 advisors in your area that everybody's following, and you can be that person or you can join those ranks. But when you post canned content from the firm and you get 1 or 2 likes, it's obvious that not many people are paying attention. That 1 or 2 likes, that could be your partner, could be your mom, right? Could be a wholesaler that wants you to sell their products, right? That they're trying to get in good with you. So if you're creating content or if you're posting canned content, just scheduling it through whatever scheduler your firm uses, and you're getting 1 or 2 likes and your exposure is like 50 people, I would almost say, don't do that anymore, right? There was a time quite a few years ago, but there was a time where using that canned content to create a brand presence for yourself, that was a good thing because no one, because there wasn't a lot of people on the platform itself, right? Those days are long gone, right? If you're sharing that content, they're seeing potentially the same content on another financial advisor's website or LinkedIn feed or newsletter. You're only getting 1 or 2 likes, maybe 50 people are seeing it. It's the exact same 50 people every time. Listen, you might be damaging your brand. First off, it looks lazy. They know you didn't write it, right? Also, if no one's paying attention to it, what's the point, right? So you clearly are creating no influence over others. There is this thing called social proof. 1 or 2 likes, that's the opposite of social proof. So it might be time to even shut that stuff down. Better yet, it might be time to start creating content for yourself. Let's talk about some stats here real quick. So on LinkedIn, there's about 9 billion content views globally every single week. Now, this is a search that you see on LinkedIn Sales Navigator for all the users in the United States and Canada. 209 million profiles. That's about 25% of LinkedIn's global users. Now, 9 billion content views globally translates to about 2.5 billion content views in the United States and Canada every single week. That's 10 billion content views a month in LinkedIn. Now, if I look at people who have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, check this out. It's 6 million people. That's less than 3% of the whole environment. So less than 3% of people on LinkedIn are gobbling up those 2.5 billion content views weekly and 10 billion views monthly. So that's pretty awesome. There's a great content opportunity on LinkedIn. Now, those numbers in place, let's take a quick look at just a few posts, right? So I don't mean to pick on anybody. This is my buddy Cliff. I love Cliff. I think Cliff likes me a whole lot too. He is my friend. Cliff and I do some work together. Cliff needs to do a better job with content, right? So this comes directly out of, you can see that, Cliff is, you can see that if we dove in there, Cliff's with Merrill. I don't need to, this is directly out of Merrill's content library. He got 1 like. That's 3 weeks ago. Now, Cliff has a pretty good network. Cliff has a really good reputation, but that doesn't reflect when he shares content like this. First off, a couple things going on here. If you're going to post content on LinkedIn, you want to make your content native to LinkedIn. right? So we've got a link here to Huffington Post. LinkedIn, you guys, it develops revenue in a couple different ways. Premium services like Sales Navigator and advertising sales are two of those primary revenue drivers. When you post a link to another website, you are driving traffic away from LinkedIn, thereby minimizing the revenue they're going to receive for ads. LinkedIn wants to retain eyeballs, right? So it's important that when you post content on LinkedIn, you're posting content that is designed to retain eyeballs on LinkedIn. So keep that in mind when you're posting content. LinkedIn's more likely to show it to more people when that's the case. Now, this is a shared post. I can imagine. I don't think Cliff went out and found this Huffington Post, though he may have. He may have. My expectation is this was scheduled. Love Cliff. Hope Cliff doesn't worry about me using him as my exposure for canned content here. All right, here's another one. Now this is my buddy Judd, right? Now we do some content for Judd that Judd then passes through compliance, but Judd also posts from the Wells Library, right? So this one up a day ago, he has 2 likes on this thing. Let's see who they are. James, I know James. He works with Judd. Here's somebody else who may be trying to get Judd's attention for some reason. I'm not even sure. Judd's got all kinds of great posts on his feed that are content that we created that you'll see have 15 comments on it, 20 likes, things like that. Now, here's the flip side of that. Here's my buddy Colin. Now, this is a post about Colin for Colin. We wrote it for Colin, but Colin passed this through compliance at his firm, right? So it's all compliance approved before it goes live. It also is not securities related in any way. It is a relatable piece of content for Colin, who lives near Philadelphia. He is obviously, backing this Philly spin-in, whatever it is, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. This says a little something about Colin. He's got his daughter on his back. Some of you are more comfortable with sharing family information than others. So, draw the line somewhere, but be relatable. This is relatable content. If you are always posting, content that has financial topics, security, great that you demonstrate your expertise. It's not real relatable content. So sprinkle in there things about the organizations you support, things about your family. Colin's awesome. And you can see with this post got 22, 23 likes, 34 comments on it. Ridiculous, right? Here is another post about Colin. Now I brought this one up because it shows some team members, right? So here's people that all of Colin's clients, they already know these team members, right? So being able to showcase and celebrate your team members, that's really important as well. So that just shows you, and again, if we scroll down, 22, 17, Colin's exposure on those personal type posts, so much better than the canned content that we looked at in the beginning. Now, I don't want to keep you too long, so I just want to show you some cool resources that we have. So this is on our website, social-advisors.com. You'll need to scroll down about 2/3 of the page, but we've got this content calendar that's going to give you a content prompt for every Monday through Friday of the year of 2023. So if one of your struggles is, you guys, I don't think I'm sharing my post. I don't think I'm sharing my screen. How terrible is that? I just got 2 texts that says that. Oh my gosh. That's terrible, you guys. I hope there's nobody watching. Alan, great topic. Can't stay for the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go through this really, really quickly, okay? My sincere apologies. What a dumb thing to do. Not a dumb person, just an accidental dumb thing to do. Chrome tab, that's what we want. All right, cool. Again, my apologies. So here's where I showed you people posted in the last 30 days, about 3% of the global, of the 209 million profiles in the US and Canada. Here's some Cliff content. All right, there's some Cliff content that we talked about. 1 like. Here's my buddy Judd, just ripping through this stuff fast. Wells Fargo content again. 2 likes on this thing, posted it yesterday. Now here's some of that personalized content that I was talking about. Colin with his Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Philly spin-in. Check this out. Look at the exposure that Colin gets. right? 23, 34. Listen, that's awesome. And it's relatable content is what I was saying, right? This isn't, financial concept, which is good. You got to sprinkle some of that stuff in there, but try to be relatable with the content that you post. Here's the same I was talking about, team members that support Colin. Check that out, 22 and 17. So anyway, rip through that fairly quickly. All I'm trying to demonstrate is the amount of engagement and exposure that your native personalized content posts are going to get is so much greater. Here we go. Gosh, StreamYard doesn't make it easy to share. My apologies for that. But you can see 21, 22, and 17, 23, 34 comments, right? Whereas, we go back to some of that stuff that I was showing for Cliff. He's linking away from LinkedIn. That's a no-no. Judd, same thing, right? He's linking off to a Wells Fargo destination, right? So LinkedIn doesn't want to show that to anybody because they don't want to drive content away from users away from their platform. So now we're going to show you on the website, right? So here's some resources for content marketing. Post great content. Here's a 365-day content calendar. It covers the full year, but it's going to give you a content prompt every Monday through Friday of something that you can talk about, right? So if you want to on our website, go ahead and download that document. Here's another one. Here's a case study that we put together looking at 3 of our clients for whom we build personalized content for. 850% better performance. And what that is 850% greater engagement than some of the canned stuff that we looked at. Typically, they get about a 500% greater exposure within that niche network that they're building. So these are some great resources for you that you can download, no cost whatsoever. You're going to get some follow-up emails. I'll let you know that. But anyway, so there's some good content resources for you. Then I want to tell you a little bit about Post Party. Those of you who have been on my webinars before, you probably learned about Post Party. An engagement pod. I'm going to explain quickly what an engagement pod is. An engagement pod is simple. It's a simple concept. It's a good concept, but it's difficult to execute. An engagement pod is when you get 20 of your buddies and you say, hey, buddies, let's all post at noon on Wednesday. And so theoretically, 20 people come to your party at noon on Wednesday, and they all interact with each other. And what that does is it let's say massages that LinkedIn algorithm to show your content to a greater amount of people. That early engagement on your content, the hour or 2 hours after you post, getting that kind of engagement shows LinkedIn that your content is more worthy than other content. So they put it in front of a larger portion of that network that you're building consistently, right? So the engagement pod concept works well with one exception. If you invite 20 people to the first engagement pod, 2 will show up to the second engagement pod. So it's really hard to get consistent. Here's what Post Party is. It just takes that engagement pod concept and organizes it. So we run 8 post parties every week. I take part in 3 of them. And they're just scheduled times for posting, right? So you post and then you copy the link to your post, and then you put it in a piece of software, and it sends that link to 15 people who are also in that particular post party. At the same time, it sends you 15 links. Now, you take about 30 minutes, engage with those 15 links, and you've also got 15 people engaging with your post, which then is going to deem it more appropriate in the eyes of LinkedIn. So they share it with a much, much larger audience. 500% is pretty average. I've seen posts do like a 20x or a 25x just because it was really good content, right? So Post Party gave it some fuel, and then people caught on to it and just kept commenting. So it created kind of a viral sensation for their content. It's awesome. It's a paid service. It's $99 a month. If you use it, you will probably use it forever. If you sign up for it and you ignore it, well, you'll last a month or 2 and then you'll go away, and that's fine. But Post Party is addictive. It is an awesome. It's an awesome website that helps you get much greater exposure for the custom content you post on LinkedIn. The website address is socialpostparty.com. And then when you check out, if you type in 30 days free for a promo code, you'll have a free month of using it. So you can kick the tires before you end up paying for it. So that's socialpostparty.com and 30 days free. So, whew, gosh, I said a lot. I had a little bit of issue, of course, with with the screen share. So my apologies for that. I certainly hope it didn't throw anybody off. If you made comments on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're viewing, I can't see all those comments. I can see Alan Ray commented a couple times on LinkedIn. StreamYard's good. It's a good service. It allows us to stream to multiple locations. It doesn't accumulate all the comments going on the various platforms. So Alan, I appreciate you being here and for making a couple of comments. And as soon as I end the broadcast, I can go see who else commented. So I'll get back to any of you that did. So a little bit clunky in the screen sharing. My apologies for that. My point to you is, that canned content that's so prevalent in our industry, it's good for the regulators. It's good for the understaffed compliance departments, risk mitigation departments. It's good for the vendors that sell that, build it once, sell it tens of thousands of times. It's good for all those parties. It's not good for you. It's not good for your brand. It looks lazy. When you get 1 and 2 likes on your posts, it also is not real impressive. So personalized content is going to get you about an 850% greater engagement. It's also going to get you about a 500% greater exposure of your content. If you need help with that stuff, I want to do it for you. If you just want to talk about easy ways to make it happen for yourself, I want to help you with that. So schedule time with me. Get on our website, just click one of the buttons and put some time on my calendar. But whatever you do, personalized content's where it's at. I could even make the argument that if you're sharing canned content right now, you're actually hurting your brand. Don't do that. Don't hurt your brand. Your brand's all you got. Everything else goes away. You got your brand. So thanks for tuning in to a Tuesday at 2. A little bit clunky with the screen share. My apologies. I'm here. I'm a resource for you. I'll give you my time. Doesn't matter. Hit me up. Thanks. Later.